Welcome, my beauties and bees, to another episode of Sci Fails. And we do have some big sci fails today. Whenever anybody calls themselves the Indiana Jones of anything, you know that they're probably full of shit, right? You probably know they're full of it, right? They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I need more coffee. You're absolutely right, Ember. Mark killing it over there in the upside down. Yeah, down there with the Tananula Tiger. Um, I think it's because of the Tananula Tiger that Mark's able to make those videos like that. If it wasn't for that tiger, he wouldn't be able to. But yeah, anybody who calls themselves the Indiana Jones of this place or that place, or this culture or that culture, you can almost guarantee that they're a charlatan, and that they are not practicing good archaeology. And today's subject is going to be something along those lines. Sumami, you're just in time if you wanted to learn about Bosnia's alleged rich heritage. This is a press release from July 2006. We're just going to read this through, and this will launch us into the topic of today. Bosnia's Rich Heritage by Anthony Harding. And remember, 2006, Bosnia was still, to some extent they still are, but still recovering from some pretty horrific war situations. So, yeah, finding some national identity was important. We'll dig into that as well. Stories about hidden pyramids in deepest Bosnia being investigated by hobby archaeologist Indiana Jones of the Balkans on the 15th of April may appeal to those from whom the dry facts of archaeology hold little attraction, but they also do little to assist the cause of heritage protection in that beautiful but unlucky country. Professional archaeologists in the former Yugoslavia and in international organizations such as the European Association of Archaeologists have known about these claims for some time, and various scientific reports are available in the public domain. In most countries of Europe, those with wacky theories about hidden mysteries on presumed archaeological sites are free to propound them, but not to undertake excavation, which by its very nature destroys much of what it uncovers, let alone excavations by those unqualified in terms of training and experience. According to your report, there are indeed archaeological sites on the hill in question. Illyrian, Iron Age location, Roman and medieval. Yet the work underway or planned makes no mention of what steps will be taken to safeguard them, and other potential sites are yet undiscovered from inappropriate earth moving or other investigations. The situation of professional heritage management in Bosnia Herzegovina is, since the Bosnian War, in a poor state, with a tiny number of people trying to do what it can to protect their rich heritage from looting and unmonitored or unauthorized development. It adds insult to injury when rich outsiders can come in and spend large sums pursuing their absurd theories. The construction of a colossal pyramid, so large that it dwarfs even the Egyptian and Mesoamerican 12,000 years ago, it's ways that most other countries would never countenance, instead of devoting their cash to the preservation of the endangered genuine sites and monuments in which Bosnia Herzegovina abound. So, that's my disclaimer about the Bosnian pyramids first. This was before this even blew up, right? They're already, as soon as there was a press release, people were already responding that this is BS and and it's bad for actual historic and prehistoric sites. And anyway, this guy is going to try to convince us that It's 30,000 years old now, and it gets older as you go along through the narrative. It starts off at 12,000 or some 6,000 to 12,000. Now it's up to 30,000, and I think there's like 4 or 5 pyramids now. But we'll get into it. Let's do this, dude. Wikipedia doesn't make claims. Wikipedia is a hub for resources with gives you a short description of the topic and then links you to actual documentation and research. So you don't debunk Wikipedia. If you think you've debunked Wikipedia, you go down there to the citation that's saying that this is from, and you say this is, and you report it. You say this is wrong, and that's how you debunk Wikipedia. If you didn't do that, then you didn't debunk Wikipedia. If you did, okay, we're only 30 seconds in. Of course, it's muted. I'm having one of those mornings. Started with the no coffee, guys. Started with the no coffee, and it's just rolling from there.
Pyramid of the Sun is rumored to The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is rumored to be 30,000 years old. Its captivating tale has been circulating the internet since 2005. This means that Bosnian pyramids would not only predate the iconic Egyptian ones, but also, according to Dr. Samos Managic, they're twice.
Yeah, it's this Sam Manas, how do you say his last name again? I haven't pulled up. Osmanagic, yeah.
As their size. These bold claims have stirred up a fair share of controversy in various conferences and forums. But I don't fully trust the internet, especially Wikipedia, that I've already disproven several claims on. So it was only logical for me to pack my things and drive to Bosnia.
I was saying, I'm just defending Wikipedia. I think Wikipedia is an open source, is awesome. It gives you primary and secondary citations about what it's talking about. Yeah, let me show you guys with Samir's own Wikipedia article how we do this. So Sam is a best known for promoting his pseudo archaeology centered on Bosnia, related to the so-called Bosnian pyramids, right? And here you have a bibliography of his writing. He's into a lot of woo. So, like if we go in here, there's even citations that use the Wayback Machine. Look at that. So you can go and look and see citation 3, a Bosnian pyramid scheme. Citation 3 is listed right there for this section right there. So if we click on that, this is what you'd have to debunk. Oh, I guess that's, yeah, see, that's a citation I guess we'd have to report, wouldn't we? Or do I have to click on the Wayback Machine? No, it's just telling me what the Wayback Machine is. So I guess the link is broke. Let's see, we saw citation 2 on there as well. Let's see what that one brings us to. So, I guess this is about his books, right? So, citation 2 tells us his bibliography information. Some of these aren't in English, though, if you look right here. So that's not going to tell us too much. But, yeah, I've got a lot of articles on the dude, though. And here's those caves that he's going to be talking about. Let's get back to the video.
Prejudice of mainstream historians drives us to believe that humanity was still primitive 10,000 years ago. Yet, there are countless structures in the ancient world that we lack the knowledge to build today. Since 2000,
there's no what structures in the ancient world do we lack the knowledge to build today? I don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna have to elaborate.
5. There's been a dispute regarding whether the Bosnian pyramid is a natural formation or a structure. As soon as Dr. Osmanagic
No, there's not a dispute about that. It's pretty well understood that this is a geological formation.
Published his discovery, Zahi Hawass, the infamous corrupt Egyptologist, did everything in his power to stop the excavations. Geologists and Egyptologists petitioned to stop the Bosnian pyramid from being publicly announced.
You mean the actual people who study the field said, "Hey, this is bull," and said, "Hey, don't publish on this. Don't fund Don't fund this excavation. These people are literally just carving a pyramid out of a mountain."
What were they so afraid of? On the other hand, over 50 esteemed archaeologists and professors from Harvard, Egypt, and even Russia came forward defending the discovery of the pyramid. But
we'll get to his citations. Don't worry. We'll get to Sam's citations and how some of them don't even exist as real people. He just like made up characters to support his basically his bid for more money to build a pyramid out of a hill.
Most of them were silenced. They were the likes of Professor of Archaeology from Harvard, Ezra Zibro.
It would be my very strong opinion that the research that is being done here should be allowed to be continued in its most unfettered form.
Egyptologist Nabil.
That was a clip used to try to promote the say, hey, yeah, see the government needs to fund this dig, right? So what they do is they go, hey, I'm doing this archaeological dig on this hillside in Bosnia, and I need the government to help me because they're trying to shut down my dig. Can you give me a soundbite and say that you support me digging here? Sure. I think that this research is important and you support this dig. Thinking it's in good faith, right?
Pyramid is something stupendous. It is above imagination. We have the pyramids of Egypt, and we think that, the pyramids belong to us. They don't belong to you.
And even astrophysicists like...
Well, I do think the pyramids belong to Egypt. Yeah, I think that the British Museum should give all the stuff back, and they should be able to house it in Egypt, and if they want to. Yeah, it's glacial. Of course, it's glacial stuff.
Like Dr. Paul Laviolette. Every one of these experts who visited the site confirmed this was indeed a real pyramid, but many others, who didn't even visit Bosnia, claimed the opposite. I decided to follow the example of good guys and visit myself, and after 2 days of driving through forests and unknown
guys who support my theories are good guys. Guys who reject my theories are bad guys.
roads through Montenegro, we finally saw the pyramid, and it was enormous. Before we entered the miles of underground tunnels, we decided...
So, think about it, you fly out here and you see this hill. It's, it's not even anything like a pyramid, right? It's a big dirt hill. It's not even, it even has like a back end with more dirt. Like it's not flat, like it's just sticking up out of a plane or something like you'd expect a pyramid. Generally, pyramids have like a settlement plane around them, some kind of, what do they call it? There's a word for it. It's not gallery. It might be gallery. It might be gallery, like a flat area around the outside of a pyramid. This doesn't have that. It's like it would just be built into the hillside. That's what they're claiming here, but it actually is the hillside. So
decided to climb to the top and look for clues that would tell us whether it was a legit ancient pyramid or just a hill. You can see all four sides are angled toward the ground to the same degree. This was the first thing I wanted to check. Many would say that this is an natural formation, but the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, Mexico, looked like an ordinary hill before it was excavated. All you need to do...
Well, so about that, about the actual Pyramid of the Sun, right? It was buried in historic time. It was buried by the locals to protect it after colonization destroyed their base, because this is like a religious place for them, and colonization destroyed their way of life. They tried to hide their sacred places, and they buried it. That's that's just what happens. It's not like, oh, it was always a big hill and then we found a pyramid underneath it and we discovered it that way. No, it was the Pyramid of the Sun existed. It was a religious center. It was a cultural center. Colonization happened. Disease happened. The area was basically wiped out of a lot of the population. So the people that lived here and were subject to the colonization of the Spanish, they buried their pyramid, right? They actually actively buried it. And the Catholics, because there was it was something to do with the way the Catholic Church would respect burials, right? So that's why they buried it. They wouldn't dig up burial mounds and things like that. So they buried the pyramid. Well, it's weird, but yeah, that checks out with the Catholic Church.
Do is look at the before and after pictures. If you're wondering how enormous structures like that can become buried, we must remember that we have proof of how cataclysmic floods occur in cycles at the abrupt end.
Of course, cataclysmic floods is what buried the pyramid, not what I just explained, which we historically have records of them doing. No, it was the flood. And why would by extension of that, why would they bury this Bosnian pyramid? There's a reason. We know a reason why they would bury the Pyramid of the Sun. Why would they bury the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun?
Of ice ages due to glaciers melting. The last flood was the one documented in the Bible and across a dozen cultures all around the world. Most likely, it was...
No, the flood that was documented in the Bible is not real, dude. It's pretend. It's just it's not documented around the world. There's cultures that never even that were already up and going that never experienced the flood in the Bible.
Was the one that buried these pyramids under the soil. Mainstream archaeology honors four main conditions before declaring something as a legitimate man-made pyramid like the ones in Egypt, Mexico, and Peru. Very often, buried pyramids are dismissed as hills or natural formations like mountains. The four criteria that must be met to officially recognize a buried pyramid as legitimate.
Well, you're dismissing earth mounds. Earth mounds are still perfectly acceptable as a structure created by ancient peoples. And the fact that this guy's trying to insist that this is a pyramid, not an earth mound, you could actually probably sell a lot of people on it being an earth mound than it actually being a pyramid, especially because of the mines. But we'll get to those in a minute.
Number 1. Geometry. The form of the Bosnian pyramid is undoubtedly a square pyramid, equilateral triangle.
There's not even level. It's not even on a level surface. Like one side's elevation is a lot higher than the others. Part of another hill bleeds into this hill, so it's not the same height or even this particular angle that they keep showing it at. There's a reason why they only show it at this angle.
Angular sides that converge into an apex. We climbed to the top and explored all sides, and we even saw the corner where two sides of the pyramid met. This discovery later allowed Dr. Osmanagic's team to determine the construction materials of the pyramid. Number 2. Science of construction. By excavating the surface, Dr. Osmanagic and
those are not man-made. Those are shale layers.
His team found artificially made concrete blocks and sent them to a third-party laboratory that dated these blocks to 32,000 years ago. Luckily, I've spent a few years studying civil engineering, and concrete has something we call compressive strength, which basically is
So does shale.
the hardness of the material. The normal concrete we use in residential buildings has a hardness of 35 megapascals, and the one found in this pyramid ranges from 2 to almost 4 times harder than this. Of course, with time, concrete cures and becomes harder, but
So maybe it's not concrete, maybe it's sedimentary rock. Ooh, with inclusions too. Look at that.
not to this extent. On the other hand, modern engineers have recently developed ultra
Yeah, you guys knew that this was coming. He was going to be like a young earth creationist that believes the Bible, right? Oh. Let's see. What did Steph say up here? Glaciation in the Balkans has been studied for over 130 years, and a classic glacial landscape attracted some of Europe's most eminent pioneer scholars of early glacial research, right? Yeah, the Balkans are like the place where they started studying glaciations at. What's weird is there are tons of cool archaeological sites and finds in Bosnia, but it isn't this imaginary pyramid. Exactly, that's the problem for sure, Sumami. They're taking away from stuff they should actually be proud of. Irish Russ, yeah. I wonder how old the pyramids really are. They don't seem to explain that. We can do a Age of the Pyramid thing sometime. My mailman is dropping off linen merch hoodie this very second. Cool. I need to get some merch again. I had merch a while ago, but I didn't like it, so I took it down. Might start using my AI for merch. Those are alien sandwiches, says Aunt Jer. I don't understand why there's this weird, like, competing with layman archaeology. Like, people want their ancestors to be cooler than other people's ancestors, but won't learn about the sweet ass history of their own area, group, nationality. Everybody alive now has ancestors who were part of something great, right? Where they managed to survive and pass on their genes. So absolutely be proud of your history, no matter where you're from. History of their own, yeah, okay. I've read many articles about glaciation that explains precisely how structures like the Bosnian pyramid are shaped. This kind of nonsense drives me nuts, and the Age of the Pyramid is older. If he's Bosnian, he could be a fundamentalist Muslim. I don't think they're telling the truth. Well, he's from somewhere in Europe because he drives to Bosnia. You should have buggy themed merch. Yeah.
Pro hyper.
Would you guys buy merch if I put it back up? I could do some bug stuff. Yeah, let me know if you're interested in that. I just don't want to waste time designing it because I can design it myself, but let this guy talk for a second.
Performance concrete that is twice as hard as the material used in the Bosnian pyramid. This advancement suggests to some that while the ancient builders were skilled, it's not accurate to claim they were more technologically advanced than contemporary engineers. But I say perhaps we might be looking at the wrong properties of concrete. Actually, from a civil engineering point of view, the hardness of the concrete is not that important. If we want a building to remain functional for millennia, what is important is how...
So this guy's a civil engineer is why he thinks he knows better than the archaeologists. So we'll keep that in mind.
How much water the concrete absorbs, because that defines the lifespan of the material. Some of the better, widespread concrete we currently use in construction has a 5% water absorption rate, which means every winter it gets damaged little by little because the water inside it freezes and causes it to deform and crack. The lower the percentage of water absorption, the better the concrete and the more years it will last. The concrete found in the Bosnian pyramid is 30,000 years old, and it has a water absorption rate of just 1%.
It's almost like it's not concrete at all because it doesn't have the properties of concrete that you just described. It's almost like this is sedimentary rock with inclusions. It's almost like you're looking at shale.
This is something we too have achieved, but it is so expensive to do, we don't usually do it in many buildings. Our modern concrete lasts around 200 years, and this one in the Bosnian pyramid has lasted 150 times longer. The third condition for a pyramid to be a pyramid is...
How do you know that... never mind. I was going to say, how do you know that concrete that we make can't last that long? Because we don't have 30,000-year-old concrete. We don't have 10,000-year-old concrete. As far as I'm aware, we don't have 5,000-year-old concrete. So, yeah, we'll just leave that at that.
For it to be geographically aligned to the north. This means one of its sides to be perpendicular to the north. All confirmed Egyptian, Peruvian, and Chinese pyramids are oriented toward the north. So far, the Egyptian pyramid had the lowest error in its orientation, being 0 degrees in just 2 minutes. And now, the Bosnian pyramid, with 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and just 12 seconds is the most precise orientation.
It doesn't have a square side though. Look at it. Look at it. Yeah, one of its sides can face north. It doesn't matter. It's not a squared side. This side bulges. Look at that. There's a road going over it.
We've ever seen toward the north. And if you're
Look, there's another. Was this a step over here? Is it a step to the pyramid? Is it a giant step? What are you talking about, guy?
wondering why all pyramids are situated toward the north, I explained how to make a pyramid at home and harness the power of Earth's electromagnetic field in my How to Make an Organ Pyramid video. All the pyramids found across.
You know the secret to Roman concrete was that that they made it with seawater. That was the big secret. That there's salt in there. That there's sea salt in it. Who would have thought? Yeah, Romans invented concrete as far as I know. I don't know when though. That's why I was only willing to reel it back to 5,000 years ago. I know it was probably within the last 3,000 years. So, you know, they're gonna make some claims about the Egyptian pyramids here. This should be fun. Look at solar powered. Got a hydroelectric down below.
The globe are near a river or underground water. This remains the same for the Bosnian pyramid. Near Visoko in Bosnia, they found not one but 3 pyramids, and the distances between the 3 formed an equilateral triangle. Underneath,
Wait, what? Hold on.
groundwater. This remains the same for the Bosnian pyramid. Near Visoko in Bosnia, they found not one but 3 pyramids.
Okay, here we go. So when you say equilateral triangle, are you going from a peak? It doesn't seem like these are going to the peak on this one. The Pyramid of the Dragon. But it seems like its peak would be down here, right? Am I wrong? The Pyramid of the Moon looks more like an actual pyramid on this one, though.
And the distances between the 3 formed an equilateral triangle. Underneath all of these pyramids was a large network of underground waters. 4. Underground tunnels and passageways. These further confirm that the
You mean medieval gold mines?
pyramid is an edifice built by men just like in Egypt. We have tunnels underneath the Bosnian one. They are spanning for miles under and around the pyramid. And I'll show you the inside because we entered with an experienced guide.
Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Lamia.
Our guide Lemia has been with the excavation from the start, and luckily, she ran us through all the details.
And Limia's gonna spin some BS.
In between first and second layer of cloud-green blocks, we found fossilized leaves, which is organic material. We carefully sent it for radiocarbonic analysis on the institutes in Germany, Sweden, and Poland, and we got products back that those fossilized leaves were around 29,200 plus minus 400 years old. So this is scientifically proven age of the pyramid, minimum age of the pyramid, which makes it one of the oldest pyramids in the whole world. Every pyramidal complex comes
It's not a pyramid though, it's just a hill with some old mines in it, and that they've excavated out, and then they've made new tunnels too that didn't even have any mines, that were just tunnels that they carved. They carved their own pyramid features.
underground tunnels. Tunnels were made to be entrances to these pyramidal structures. So that's why we were on a search for the entrances to these underground tunnels. And to this day we found 7 of them. But this one behind me is the main one. So I hope that you will enjoy this tour. Just so you know, there are some low parts in the tunnels, so that's why we wear these headlets, but nothing will fall on your head. You can completely relax and enjoy this tour as much as you can see. Even though we are under the ground, we don't have any ventilation systems because we don't need them at all. Here, air flows completely naturally, so no matter how far away we are from the entrance, we always have fresh and clean air. And just so you know, air quality...
Now the tunnel Ravne, I have some information pulled up on that. That was... yeah. Tell me, because here's the mapping of it, right? The natural tunnels, the ones that actually existed before. They've dug out more stuff now since then. But does this look like it's built underneath a rectangular pyramid, or does this look like it's built like they were mining for some sort of resource that's down at the end of all these little offshoots. What do you think? Yeah, here's their, you can see where what they've excavated here. The material through which the tunnel was dug is clearly of natural origin, despite insistence of some pseudo-archaeological enthusiasts that it is synthetic. The geological map of Visco identifies the terrain as Miocene conglomerates, Lasva series conglomerates. It is possible, however, that given the lack of details on the geological map, that these conglomerates are covered in places by an ancient alluvial terrace at a height of 55 to 60 meters above the recent Bosnian alluvium at 420 meters. That is not shown on the map. So essentially saying, yes, this is not man-made, but let's continue on.
The tunnels is way better compared to the outside, and that was because of huge amount of negative violence.
In the tunnels, Lemia, our guide.
Oh, goodness.
And that was, air quality in the tunnels is way better compared to the outside, and that was because of huge amount of negative violence.
So the air quality inside the tunnels is better because of negative ions, says this tour guide. So these tunnels are have magic healing properties too. Oh my gosh, did somebody just drop a whole bunch of channel subs? Regios, you son of a gun. You rock. Who got one? Spooky got one. Ember got one. Ring got one. Mr. Jonathan Hudson the 7th got one. Aunt Jur. Al Trucker. Katina. Pack Bears. Hope I said your last name right. Carol Kisner. Brian Stevens. Cool. I was going to say Bosnian tourism is something. Yeah, this is a big thing of Bosnian tourism, but because the amount of negative ions, these tunnels have magical healing properties.
In the tunnels, Lemia, our guide, showed us how, at the intersecting points between underground rivers, the ancient people who inhabited these tunnels had placed artificial stones. These stones served as very strange...
I don't think people inhabited these tunnels. I think these were medieval mines.
...function to mitigate the energy generated by crossing rivers.
Sorry, this man-made.
Yes. This right here is actually a type of ceramic, and we call these structures mega ceramic blocks. This ceramic is a mixture of sandstone, melted clay, chips of quartz crystal, and water. Everything had to be combined together, shaped, and then...
It's sediment, okay. Apparently the Nabateans were pioneers in the concrete department. Cool. I did not know that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll though. 75% people want merch. I can do that. I can make merch. Thank you for being honest though. I don't want to make a whole bunch of merch if nobody's going to if no one's gonna buy it, if no one's interested. Eyebrows are overrated.
And baked at very high temperatures. Because to make ceramic like this, you need temperatures that are higher than 1000 degrees. Every single one of the blocks that we also discover deeper in the tunnels is from the same material, but they are bigger and bigger as well. And as they are bigger and bigger, they are also made out of multiple pieces. You can notice that because of these smaller lines. For example, this block...
Okay, this is not a block. Why does she keep saying this is a block? That doesn't look like maybe a glacial radical.
Is made out of two pieces that have been glued together on the spot.
Glued?
Because we noticed bigger and bigger...
That famous pyramid glue they had in the early Pleistocene, we lost the recipe for.
Blocks specifically put on very different locations and unique location. We predicted that they might have a function inside. With georadar scannings, we discovered that underneath every single one of these blocks is underground water stream. In this case, underground water stream is 21 meters underneath this block. It comes exactly from this direction, goes directly underneath it. And it's exactly the same width as this block as well. You may have heard that it's not good to build anything
How
on
do you
top
know if it's 20 meters down how wide it is? I call BS. Where are you getting these readings from? These numbers?
of underground water streams because they produce something called geopathic radiations. These are actually very low levels of frequency that can affect stability of the buildings. Cracks can form in the walls after some time, and they can also affect our health, especially if you're exposed to huge amount of geopathic radiation.
Geopathic radiation. Is this more woo? Geopathic. All right. Geopathic radiation can change surface tension, which can affect the human body. For example, it can affect the membrane process that creates serotonin, which regulates sleep. Geopathic stress can also affect animals and plants and can contribute to sick building syndrome. Interesting. Geopathic radiation has been shown to change the surface tension, and since humans are over 70% water, it changes the surface tension, greatly affects... where was I? Anyway, there's a paper on it. Let me drop a link here. Is this credible, though? It's just from the patent site. You can patent anything. It's alternative medicine, though. Here, you want to know what it's about? Let me pull it over. Of course, this guy's debunked Wikipedia many times, but geopathology is a theory that links the Earth's inherent radiation with the health of humans, animals, and plants. The term is derived from the Greek blah, 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 blah. The term is widely used. Adjectives. Geopathic stress. Geostress. Okay. Study in the Bavarian town of Vilsbiburg. Ley lines. Of course it's going to be associated with ley lines. I bet the Bosnian pyramids are associated with ley lines too. Geopathic stress. It is suggested that the Earth has natural vibrations, but features like underground watercourses, drainage pipes, underground tunnels, and even simple geological faults distort this vibration. Such distorted vibrations are held to rise upward through the Earth's surface and create a pernicious effect on the health and or behavior of all biological life. The distortions are amplified during night hours, and consequently the impact is greater if the focal point of the adverse radiation is a bedroom. Also noting that the subject during the time of sleep will be continually located in the path of such radiation. Nonsense!
For 100 years at time. Looks like ancient civilizations knew this very well, because here in the tunnels we discovered a big network of underground water stream, and what a coincidence, or is it not? Every single one of the blocks was put exactly on top of one of them. These blocks have very important function in the tunnels. They neutralize geopathic radiations, and we were able to discover how these blocks work. The main thing that's doing all the job here is the quartz crystal that's inside of these blocks, because crystals and minerals usually in science fall into category of piezoelectrics. These are structures that are in the same time positively and negatively charged on their ends, and they act like natural magnets. Piezoelectrics are sensitive to
magnets? What? We figured out how magnets worked? Dr. Tapp, are you there? Dr. Tapp, did you hear? She's explaining how magnets work. We finally have the answer. Yay! Celebrate.
to frequencies, so that whenever they ship them, they start to vibrate on micro level by themselves. This same reaction is happening with every single piece of quartz crystal that is inside of these blocks. Because This underground water stream is still active, is producing geopathic radiations, and they ship...
Jeff, are you talking about the one that says, "Did the gays win"? I watched that last night. It's pretty funny. Have the gays won and with Tim Pool crying. Yeah, I couldn't resist that thumbnail.
block that is on top of them. They hit all those pieces of quartz crystal that are inside. Quartz is constantly vibrating on micro level, and that's how it's neutralized.
So is she claiming there's like a quartz crystal inside this rock? Inside this, they're basically claiming it's a geode, that they're putting geodes on top of these springs.
I think there's geopathic energy. Behind me, you can see the intersection that is still broken. All the tunnels originally looked like this when we first found them. But I will explain everything in
Before you started digging them, you mean?
order. When civilization who was making this pyramidal complex decided to make it right here in
Robert, crystals will always be at the root. Yeah.
this valley, they first started with tunnels because they needed material to make concrete blocks of the Pyramid of the Sun. So when they started making tunnels through this conglomerate, digging them through, all the excess conglomerate was taken out and it was used to make concrete blocks of the Pyramid of the Sun. And those concrete blocks are a mixture of conglomerate, melted clay, lime, and water. So that's how tunnels and Pyramid of the Sun, we know that they were made in the same period of time. And a few thousand years later, one civilization decided to close tunnels for unknown reason, and they did that by bringing tons and tons of fill-up material from riverbeds. Probably from local ones, but who knows?
Or they were just not there in the first place, or these were natural fissures and caves that were filled with sediment during the last glaciation. And now you're just excavating those out. I don't think there were actually tunnels here at all, except for maybe the gold mines, the medieval gold mines that they've got evidence existed in this region. And now these people are digging this stuff out. They're just making their own tunnels.
And they have brought this gravel inside, put it all the way to the top of these tunnels, but the gravel is very soft material. It's just a mixture of sand and stones. So that's why after some time it compressed, and we always have this separation of material at every top of tunnel. You don't have to be an expert, but you can immediately notice arch of the tunnel, height, and almost width as well. So when we come to a clean tunnel,
It's how the layers lay down, especially when they're laid down by glaciers.
almost everything is easy for us. We just follow this closed material. We don't want to expand tunnels in.
I know, I'm always worried. I'm like, oh, I want to collect crystals. And I'm like, what if people think I'm like, woo-woo?
Height and width at all, and we don't make new tunnels. We just find the old ones. But what's helping us find tunnels easily is this structure right here called drywall. Drywall is made out of bigger rocks that are perfectly aligned on top of each other without any binder. And we keep finding this structure at every start and at every end of each tunnel, no matter which entrance it is. These drywalls were made to hold this fill-up.
So they make fancy concrete, but then they're like, oh, but when it comes to building this wall, we're just going to stack up a bunch of round stone stuck into the dirt. And that's how we're going to do it on this side. Concrete for everything else, but these we're going to just stack stones in dirt.
Up material inside, and also to divide tunnels in sections when this civilization was closing them. So that's how we know that tunnels were closed manually. In this gravel, many times we found pieces of branches and wood, which is organic material. We sent it for radiocarbonic analysis, of course. And results showed us that all of those pieces were 5,000 years old. So that's how we discovered for how many years our tunnels closed.
Initially, when I saw that mold,
Yeah, and that's fine if those mines are that old. I'm kind of surprised. Well, no, not really, because there'd have been gold. They'd had to get in the gold somewhere. So I'm not surprised that there's gold mines in Bosnia that are that old. I think the gold mines are supposed to be from the medieval era, though. I don't think they're actually 5,000 years old. But yeah,
most tunnels are sealed. I thought it was the flood that filled most passageways with gravel, but they were sealed not only with gravel but with rocks purposely put there by humans in the form of stone walls. Someone sealed these passageways and we don't know why. The only thing that the guide told us is that they found inscribed runes that shed some light on the mystery. Experts translated these
You speak kitty cat, Sumami? You just go outside and summon them? You're like Catwoman.
runes, and here's what they meant.
This structure right there was originally found on its face, and experts immediately knew that it's not the position that it needs to be in.
Paleo experts? Oh, it's been a long time since I heard the term paleo experts. No, Donnie coined that one.
And when we lifted it up, we noticed that on this side we have engraved symbols on surface. I will light you from different directions so that you can see the symbols of the land here. But we did a laser scanning of the surface, which discovered that here we have 25 symbols engraved. We sent this picture to many experts throughout the whole world in hopes that they would be able to recognize and translate the symbols that are here. You can pass. And experts said that 7 symbols perfectly align with 7 of these runic symbols. Runic symbols are around 2,000 to 3,000 years old, and when the expert was able to translate these 7 symbols, and this is what they say. The gate is closed. We are at the standstill. We have to fight and conquer until the cosmic gate is finally opened again. We don't know what this can mean. We can only try to...
You got all that from 7 runes? I don't... That's pretty wild. Seven characters, and you get that whole message about the gates and the cosmos and stuff. I didn't even know there was a rune for the cosmos. What's that all about? I know some of the runes, at least the Germanic runes, which are the root to the Norse runes as well. I know a bit about them, but I think those are that's just deformation and scratches on the rocks, right?
Of course, find out what's happening here in this world. But with more research, we discovered that here we have proto-runic symbols, which use the 4 runes, because the runes are around 2,000 to 3,000 years old. But we have proved that tunnels are closed for at least 5,000 years. Proto-runics and generally runic symbols are very hard to be translated, because one symbol by itself can mean 1 letter, 1 word, or even 1 full sentence. And then in combination of few of them, there can be few different translations. But just so you know, these are not only symbols that are discovered. With more cleaning, we found different symbols, hundreds of them, engraved on different surfaces, like stones, stone tools, and ceramics. So this is just another proof that these ancient civilizations who were in this area, they had...
So is this some History Channel BS about I was looking at proto runes over here. Sorry, got just to distract, but because there's a few different. The oldest runic alphabet is the Futhark, which is Germanic. Here, the Elder Futhark, also known as the Older Futhark, the Old Futhark, or Germanic Futhark, is the oldest form of runic alphabet. It was a writing system used by Germanic people from Northwest Germanic dialect in the migration period. The inscriptions were found on artifacts including jewelry, amulets, plateware tools, weapons, as well as rune stones in Scandinavia from the 2nd to the 10th century. In Scandinavia, beginning in the 8th century, the script was simplified to the younger Futhark, while the Anglo-Saxons and Frisians instead extended it, giving rise to the Anglo-Saxon Futhark. Both the Anglo-Saxon Futhark and the younger Futhark remained in use during the early and high Middle Ages respectively, but knowledge of how to read the Elder Futhark was forgotten until 1865, when it was deciphered by Norwegian scholar Sophus Bugge, I think is how you say that. somebody knows how to say it differently, then tell me. But here's the distribution. You can see that they're pretty far from Bosnia, mostly northern Europe, whereas Bosnia's down, way down south, in southern Europe. I lost my shoe. Where'd it go? Ah. Oh. Anyway, yeah, back to the video. We're almost done.
Intelligence, advanced technology, and they also knew how to write, and they left us many messages.
I will certainly return when the path is clear and explore inside. After our short expedition, I can certainly say this is an artificially man-made structure and not a natural formation. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun fits all criteria to be ruled as a man-made pyramid older than anything else humanity has found so far. I highly recommend visiting it if you're near the Balkans. If you are into ancient civilizations, have you heard about Iran? A mythical city nobody thought existed because
Yeah, we're not covering Iran today, though. We're talking about the Bosnian pyramids. So, let's see. Some more about the tunnels. To complete this description of the tunnels, we may note that 3 particularly interesting points that have, very recently indeed, come to the forefront. The presence of dry stone wall obfuscations, some galleries. Sometimes these dry stone walls are merely aligned with the walls of the tunnels. In the flooded part of the tunnels, discovered in December 2010, the presence straight central channel. Are these the runes? At any rate, these 3 elements provide confirmation, if any were needed, of human intervention in the Ravni tunnels, something about which I never had any doubt. See what I wrote in 2006. The second, yeah, those tunnels were, again, they were worked on, and they're tunnels, though. It's not a pyramid with halls built into it. They're actually tunnels bored into the side of the mountain. Some of them are natural, and some of them have been altered by people, and some of them have been used as gold mines. Well, it's not excluding the possibility that the KTK tunnel is largely of natural origins, therefore the Ravni tunnel, except perhaps for a few small natural cavities of a sort that can be found even within a weakly calcareous conglomerate, is definitely an artificial man-made network. The question is, when was it dug and for what purpose? And now the carnival of pseudoscience scientific interpretations really gets underway. As far as Mr. Osmanagic and his friends, such as his supporters or rivals in the SB research group, are concerned, there is no doubt that the Ravni tunnel is connected with the pyramid. This is certainly beyond all question, even more than that it is a prerequisite. Since 2005, Mr. Osmanagic has been claiming that there must be an underground complex, given that there are underground tunnels beneath the Pyramid of Giza and Teotihuacan? Is it Hushin? I guess Houston. I'll say the Pyramid of the Sun. It necessarily follows that there must be a tunnel under the Pyramid of Bosnia. Therefore, any subterranean network discovered in the area must necessarily be part of such a complex. It is an assumption that forms the basis for the frequent utterance by Messenger Osmanagic and Debertolis about the length of the Ravni tunnel being 3 kilometers, the distance from the hill of Visocica, even though no more than 300 meters of tunnel had so far come to light. The existence of claims for a pyramid tunnel link, although never actually substantiated, means that ever since 2006, the tunnel has regularly been cited as proof of the existence of the pyramids. Hence, the desperate need to obtain the oldest data possible for the tunnels. The earlier that date, the stronger the evidence. The later that date, the weaker osmogenic's theory. There have been several attempts at dating samples from the tunnel using either organic objects or supposedly organic, see that's discussion, or stalactites and stalagmites. These dates have yielded results with a wide variation that strains credulity, from 2,000 to 3,000 years to more than 30,000. Nothing, that's where they're getting the new date though, by the way. It's that 30,000 when for so long they were doing 12,000. Now it's 30,000. Now they think it's 30,000 because it fits their narrative with the age of these tunnels and cave systems. Questionable, osmogenic uses these dates, questionable pinpoints in time, as the basis for constructing a customized chronology, bringing into play no fewer than 4 different civilizations. On over a 32,000-year-old, one over 32,000-year-old responsible for constructing the megaliths. The megaliths would have been located above underground streams, although at the time before the tunnels were in place, so presumably out in the open. A second, dating from between 32,000 to 5,000 years ago, that built the pyramids, excavated or constructed the tunnels. The assumption is therefore either that the conglomerates through which the tunnels were dug was a deposited at some stage later than 30,000 years ago, according to the theory of Samir Osmangenic's father, Muris Osmangenic, and Samir Osmangenic himself, who believes that this second civilization is certainly much less than 32,000 years, because the time was needed for conglomerates to form from the flood and conglomerate sedimentation, or the theory favored by Professor Debertolis, that the tunnel was built from scratch using an artificial conglomerate and then covered with 20 meters of sediments. Then we have a third civilization that would be required for this all to be true. That third civilization was going to date from before 1000 BC, who used a huge amount of material to close the tunnels off and also cleaned it, which would explain the complete absence of artifacts. So they would have had to loot the whole thing out, cleared it all out, and then sealed it up. And the last civilization, the only one that Mr. Osmangenic slots into traditional chronology, as he concedes that there could have been an occupation of the tunnels for a time during the Neolithic, somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 BP. Debatable datations. This we're not going to go through all this, but there's a lot to unravel here to basically debunk all this. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long. He goes into a lot of detail about all the BS that they're trying to spin and debunks it all. I read this over pretty good. There's the map of what Steph was talking about in the side chat there. And multiple people have blogged this thing into the ground, debunking it from every possible angle you can think of. Got Dr. Robert M. Scotch research highlighting the so-called Bosnian pyramid from Boston University. So he's given it his once-over, breaking it down. Does point out that, hey, there's a industry here that they're probably not likely to give up easily about the Pyramid of the Sun, right? Selling pyramid artifacts and claiming the pyramids that are real, and yeah. The danger of pyramid mania. Discusses the current Bosnian pyramid mania and the ramifications, but there is one aspect he did not mention: the loss of important paleontological resources. Right, we let these people start carving into a mountainside or hill, or ancient tunnels and mines to build a fake pyramid. The whole time they're doing that, they're destroying actual artifacts. Is there a way to remember the difference between a stalactite and a stalagmite? I can never remember which ones are built up and which ones go down. Stalactites are tight to the ceiling so they don't fall. Stalagmites might reach the ceiling, but yeah, that's what I always did it. Stalactites go down, tights go down, and it's the way I always remembered it says spooky bed here. Tights high, mites low. Just woke up and I'm here. Are you woke though? Are you woke moralist out there? You know, tights high, might low is probably gonna stick with me. Thanks, Stephanie. You can use cool from the mites. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's the real problem. And then they're talking about fossils. Presently, the fossils are being ignored and destroyed through excavation. Late Miocene fossils. The pyramid hills are composed of late Miocene, lacustrine, and fluvial deposits. Certain strata are highly fossiliferous, containing a variety of thus far undocumented angiosperm leaves and other plant remains, as well as animal trace fossils. I believe this area merits serious paleontological study. On the basis of sedimentology, the hills could yield scientifically valuable terrestrial vertebrate specimens. Presently, the fossils are being ignored and destroyed during the excavation as crew works to shape the natural hill into the crude semblance of a Mayan-style step pyramid, with which osmogenic is so enamored. Yep, and then you have the professionals writing up about it too. Yeah, I got more blogs. That's the map we were just looking at. Yeah, this is the guy who did the videos. This is his Reddit post about it. So we can see the claims here. Talking about trying to claim that these pyramids were buried too. Got our tunnels. All right. And a group of Bosnian hills that might contain the world's greatest pyramid, or the greatest pyramid scheme. Yeah. Little blurb about that. More talking about his, this is from Discover magazine. This is the one they talk about him basically being a showman. The use of pseudoscience is a classic feature of the New Age, he says, and New Agers prefer to have the appearance of making decisions based on empirical evidence, like scientists. The Damanhur movement began small with a large variation in the ideas and voices, he says, but it quickly grew and became more unified. After growing large enough to attract media attention, such organizations generally reach a critical juncture that leads either to extinction or further growth. Another author writing about it. Or is this the same guy? That guy's the same guy. So these two talking about it now in this blog. You can see where they're excavating the Pyramid of the Moon. Notice that approximately 2 meters deep clay layer on the right top, another small stone terrace. Skok accused the foundation of trying to make the excavation look like a step pyramid. Oh, is this a response? Is this... Okay, this guy's responding to the blog that we just looked at. All right, and this guy, Dr. Sam, is on Twitter. So you can actually go out here and read his feed. He still puts out stuff. Not regularly, but, every couple of months he'll put something together. All right. I'm talking about the tourist draw of this pyramid scheme. The Guardian wrote about it. And yeah, pretty much this has been so thoroughly debunked by the archaeological community. I can't believe that they're still funding it. The Bosnian government's still funding this because they want to have this ancient heritage, right? They want to say, yes, we are a descendant from this ancient civilization that once ruled the earth. But don't we all, I suppose? You know. Anyway, what do you think? Was the Bosnian pyramid a real phenomenon? Is it, or is it a hill with maybe some old tunnels and stuff built into it? What do you think? Tell me in the comments down below. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.